Greetings there, people! It's your cult personality here, ToonKritic's name, Toon's name of my game. Welcome back to the Sketchpad, a little interview show of mine where I send out a bunch of emails, whoever hits me back first saying, hey, I want to be a part of this show, they end up on the show. So, I am continuing the little fun little trend of me interviewing the cool people, not the super well-known people that we know off in the distance in the horizon. I am bringing it back for a very swell guy. I like calling, these types of people real swell characters. Today with me on the Sketchpad, I have to you the man, the myth, the legend, that one dude who flipped me off of the interstate, Kirbopher.
What? Wait, did I actually?
No, you did. I've never actually physically met you. So.
You're giving me a fucking heart attack, man. Oh, I can't even say that. Can I? Wow. Hi, welcome, everybody. I'm happy to be here, and I did not do that, I think. Jesus.
No, don't worry, I've never actually met you, so you're all good.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I'm trying to even think if I've ever actually flipped somebody off. Maybe my dad would, but not me. I'm not in New York enough for that, even. Anyway.
So, for those who do not know who you are, sir, please tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. I love ice cream. No, that's not what you want to hear. I'm an animator. I am a voiceover actor. I am soon to, hopefully, if I don't screw this up, be a game designer. I've done a whole lot of different things. In the animation world, I was known for, back in the day, I did a lot of cartoons on Newground, such as the Super Freaking Parody Rangers and the Nintendo collabs and bunch of that stuff. Currently, I'm hopefully best known for a little web series I did for the last few years called TOME, Terrain of Magical Expertise, which I did about 16 episodes of. I've also
great series,
other things like. Thank you, I appreciate that. I also did a couple of Super Mario RPG music videos that kind of went virally around for a little while.
Lost Forest, I believe.
Lost Forest and Waltz the Forest were the two. And also, I've done some animation on some video games like Skullgirls and Hat in Time and such things like that. And in the voiceover world, I'm probably best known for Reagan Artaka in Mob Psycho 100. I'm several characters on the new Cartoon Network series OKKO, Let's Be Heroes. God, what else? Dezel on Tales of Zestiria, Garma in Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin, a whole bunch of different characters on Pokemon. And what I'm currently up to is I'm attempting to make a video game based on my TOME web series, and I'm hopefully going to be, I don't know when this is coming out exactly, but I'm hopefully launching a Kickstarter for that very, very soon, and that's about to envelop the next several years of my life if all goes well, so yeah.
So you mentioned animating right off the bat. What was the point in your animation career, I guess, way back on Newgrounds when you knew, like, yes, this is what I want to do? Like, I've made it. This is what I'm going to do.
Well, in terms of knowing that it's what I wanted to do, it's kind of funny because I always knew that I wanted to create. For a long time, kind of fitting with what I'm doing now, is I wanted to make video games. And then I didn't and then I kind of learned very quickly that, programming, not for me.
A little bit more complicated than that.
Yeah, so it's complicated, but also it is just as much art as art as what people perceive as art, as I've come to learn from being friends with programmers. But it was not something that I was personally all that passionate about. So I decided, okay, this isn't for me. But I loved designing, I loved writing, I loved creating and drawing, etc. And then animating just kind of came by sort of proxy. And then I took a workshop when I was in high school, I think it was, like really early high school, and I learned how to use Flash, and thinking I'm going to learn ActionScript and make games, and I was like, nope, never mind. But I was like, I'd make movies in PowerPoint. Hey, Flash is like PowerPoint, but better. I'm going to do this. And then I learned how to animate, I learned how to make Flash movies. Animating came as I sort of progressed further, and then I decided, you know what, this is what I want to do. It was when I was deciding what college I was going to go to. I was looking into some different art schools, and the School of Visual Arts in New York City. I was, they have a 2D animation program. You know what, this is this is what I think I want to focus on, because I want to make my own show someday. I want to make movies. I want to do all this stuff, whatever. So I applied, and then I got in, and then I went to college for 4 years, all the while continuing to produce my side projects on Newgrounds. And I guess in terms of like knowing when I made it, see, that's the thing is, by some definition, I didn't really make it. Like, I was very excited when I got the front page with the first Parody Rangers I did. That was the first time I got the front page. I had a good time working on the Nintendo collabs, like working with other animators and things. And of course, the dreaded Brawl taunts, hit millions and millions of views, much to my surprise and dismay. Certainly not to Kirbopher, who is kind of the creator of those. So I don't know. I guess but that's the thing though. I was also never really part of like the community of like, all the big animators that you would know of, that are a lot of which are still continuing to do stuff today. I'm friends.
Your own guy.
Sure. Yeah. And like, I mean, but that's the thing is also, to be perfectly honest, I was also motivated for a little while by like selfish stuff of like, I want to be popular. I want to make money. I want to feel like I'm part of this group of people that I'm not actually part of, which is honestly not a good reason for anybody out there who's ever wanted to create anything of any kind. Don't be motivated by stuff like that. It really has to be about the love of creating stuff in the first place. So if anything, in a way, actually, I think what made me feel like I had made it in kind of a different sort of way, not quite the way I think you were asking, but metaphorically, is when I finally struck it out for myself and I started doing TOME, because doing original stuff was always what I really cared about. That was always what the goal was, but I kind of got distracted by the intoxication of popularity you get from doing like parodies and that sort of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. I will once in a while indulge in like some fan stuff. I did that Undertale cartoon about a year ago, and just out of love, or like the Andy the Frog thing I did for the Bo Burnham sketch, just for shits because it's fun, But like where my passion is with stuff that I make from the ground up, and TOME was really the first time that, I did like an old version of it. I did TV TOME Adventures, which was way before anything that anybody's really ever heard of me for. But TOME was like the first time that I was like, okay, I'm building this from the ground up. I'm not making a killing off of it, but
it's a fair amount.
Sure, I mean but it's what's more important about that is just the fact that it's like, this is what I'm passionate about, and I'm able to make a living doing what I'm passionate about, which I have been able to also since I moved out here, and I'm very, very thankful for that. So that was a very long-winded answer to that question.
No, this
is often how it is for me with these interviews, is I'm just like, so let me answer this question in about like 8,000 words unnecessary.
No, I get what you mean, because I think when some people are starting off, when they get that first kind of taste of like internet fame, there are some that are going to let that get straight to their head. And here's the thing, though: there's nothing too wrong about that at first, but there has to be some kind of balance to it,
Yeah, and I was unbalanced at that time, which actually it's good you say that, because I think that life is a balancing act, and people who know my work will get the joke behind that, but life is a balancing act is kind of my philosophy, and I think that was that time where I didn't have that, and even just in terms of like, because it's when you're an artist, it's hard to kind of find this balance of just general happiness with what it is that you're doing, and I think that now with what I'm doing, with all the different things that I'm getting to do, that I'm very fortunate to do. I've found that, and I'm much more centered compared to my Newground's age, as it were. But you know what? It was a learning experience. It was a really, really important series of learning experiences about myself as an artist, about myself as a person. So I don't regret it at all. I don't really, I regret some things, but I don't regret my overall experience in those days of like mid to late 2000s kind of age. So
yeah. Is it okay then if I ask about how you worked on like your past stuff? Like, I guess we'll start with like Super Freakin' Parody Rangers, because that was a great series for me. I grew up with that series, and I thought
I appreciate that. I will say I don't look fondly on the trilogy. I think that they're absolutely not funny at all. I do have some fondness towards the movie, actually. for a few different reasons. One, because the movie was just kind of my it was actually kind of my sort of swan song to that era of Newground stuff, because I remember the year before I had to start working on my college thesis, which was very important to me. I was like, okay, I'm going to finish the Parody Rangers movie already, which is majorly thanks to Joshua Tomar, who was the voice of Evan Splooge in that, because he kind of put out, like, Chris, I always really respect you because you always finish what you start. And I'm like, well, now I have to finish it. Okay. So I
put me into a corner. Great.
Yep. Yeah. And but yeah, I guess in terms of the process, I mean, well, I weirdly, so I took this tutorial flash course thing I mentioned earlier at a computer learning center in my hometown in Long Island. And I learned all the basics, and then kind of from there on out, I had help from other people, and also kind of figured out the rest of it really just by process of elimination, I guess. So as I was kind of continuing forward, I learned more and more about how Flash worked. Actually, a major shout out in particular to Alvin Earthworm of Super Mario Brothers Z fame, who
my dude.
He's great, yeah, wonderful guy, really really nice guy, and he actually was also I was happy to find out he was actually a big TTA fan, which really meant a lot to me, because I mean Super Mario Bros. Z obviously was like a massive hit on Newgrounds for obvious reasons.
That was something I also grew up with too.
Yeah, and he taught me how to basically utilize more of the like maximum frame rate in a Flash file. By this trick where, this is really technical, but like say you would have, okay, you know what? Okay, for instance, Parody Rangers 3, right? So what I would do by this trick that Alvin taught me, excuse me, is I would do a scene in maybe about like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes, maybe shorter, maybe less, and I would do all the animation, and then I would put it in a movie clip file, right? And then I would place it on the timeline of Flash. It's like any like video editing timeline sort of thing, right? And then
I'm sure some people get it.
Yeah, and then like I would put it on like one frame, and I would like program this little thing that he told me the coding for, to have it play. It would hold and play on that frame for the amount of time that it was supposed to be going for. And then it would play forward, and then it would keep going until, however long the thing was for. So it was because of him that Parody Rangers 3, all 3 parts of the Parody Rangers movie, all of the Nintendo collabs, even Brawl Taunts, I think, even to an extent, and the first, I think, like 9 episodes of TOME, all the ones that I put up on Newgrounds, all of those were thanks to that trick that Alvin taught me, And
Nice.
and otherwise, like if I were going into like what I knew was going to be a series, I would make assets like like interchangeable heads and positions of different things to use depending on the different situations or whatever. So it would often depend, but those are a few things that I would do in order to I guess progress, and I would try to just always constantly be working as much as possible. I just really try to stay productive,
Yeah, and I guess I'll just wrap up talking about the whole Newgrounds thing, because I do want to talk about other stuff. What was it like working on Brawl Taunts and the Nintendo collabs?
Well, the Brawl Taunts, I mean, so I always feel I need to give credit to Kira Buckland, who really, Brawl Taunts was her project. I just offered to animate them for her. My only real story about like working on them was I finished the first one in about 3 days.
Wow.
And I finished the second one in about a week. And the third one, which often I've blocked out of my mind because it's the worst thing ever. I don't mind saying that. Sorry, everybody else who worked on it. I don't remember how long I worked on the little intro animation of me jumping out the window like a screaming lunatic.
I mean, that was pretty funny, though, to be fair.
Which is one of my, also still to this day, one of my proudest voiceover performances of all time. Not even kidding. But yeah, and then as far as the Nintendo collabs go, that was an interesting experience because, so I wrote the first one the summer of 2007, and then I started going to college. Originally, I was going to animate the whole thing myself, all of the different vignettes and everything. And I started working on the Mario one, and I was like, I don't want to do all these myself. So I reached out to a bunch of my animator friends, and I was like, hey, are you down with helping out? And then we made it into a collab. And that was really cool because that also taught me a lot about managing a bigger project, you know? Which was nice because I think that all was very helpful in the kind of teaching myself like what I needed to know for doing Tome and other future projects, and even the game right now, like knowing how to work at a team and making sure people get things done, and allocating budgets and all these different really important things that probably not a lot of people on Newgrounds. I'm not like puffing myself up when I say this, but just it's an observation of not very many people had to do that, except for really people who did run collabs and like people on the staff, like Tom Fulp and a lot of those guys. But yeah, it was also a good experience. I'm more proud of everybody else's work on the Nintendo collabs than my own, to be honest. I had fun. I like the Earthbound segment that I did was a lot of fun. What else? I'm trying to remember even some of the other ones that I did. But yeah, no, it was fun, and it was again interesting learning experience that I think it was probably one of the most important ones that I took away from working on those.
Yeah. I didn't mean to like cause like any bad memories or with anything. It's just like most of us and like have enjoyed not just like your current stuff, but we also have an appreciation for your older stuff. So I think
I do appreciate that too. It's really just it's not that I think that it's like, oh no, I have such bad memories of that. I mean, I have some bad memories because there was like, when you're in any kind of community and when you're 18 and figuring yourself out, there's always going to be drama of some kind, but it's not even so much that. It's also like, admit, and I'm kind of showing my weakness by saying this. We were talking off mic earlier, and like once in a while I get that reality check of like whenever I'm like announcing that I'm doing something new or like another thing I'm associated with announces that I'm part of it. People will be like, oh, I didn't even know he was still doing stuff. I thought he like stopped after he did like whatever Newgrounds thing that I remember him for, and I'm just like, still been doing stuff the whole time. It's like what really pains me is people say that about Legendary Frog all the time, and Joey has been doing stuff since the Nintendo collabs because I semi brought him out of like kind of flash retirement for a little bit with the Nintendo collabs, and then he was doing a World of Warcraft thing for a little while, and then he started doing Wonders of the Universe, which is a cool show, and now he's doing a thing for Cinema Snob. Like Joey's still been doing stuff, but people are like, oh yeah, he stopped doing stuff after One Ring to Rule Them All, and I'm just like, that's not true. But that's the kind of like tunnel vision that a lot of people on the internet have. So sometimes I do get that concern of like people don't even know what the hell Tome is or like know that I've been doing voiceover, that sort of thing. But truthfully that's the minority and not the majority. So I suppose I shouldn't be too worried about that. But nonetheless, anyway. Carry on.
Well, I think that's where the dedicated fans come in because those are the fans that have stuck around for ages. That'll still watch. They'll still watch your stuff and still enjoy your stuff. Like, well, good segue actually into wanting to talk about Tome because it's a great series, great voice acting, great animation to it. Overall, I could see it actually being like a show, like an official show at some point. Lord knows Cartoon Network needs actual good shows, and I think Tome would be.
Hey! Hold on a minute. I'm sorry. Cartoon Network has plenty of good shows on TV right now. Thank you very much.
Yes,
and yes,
like Teen Titans Go.
That does
Teen
include Teen Titans Go. Yes, and I'm not being ironic. Yes, that does include Teen Titans Go, which is genuinely funny, has talented people working on it, and it's the #1 goddamn show on Cartoon Network. So fucking there, Internet. Nonetheless, I also appreciate that, but also I would respectfully disagree because I think that actually, as proud as I am of Tome, I think especially in the early episodes, there are actually a lot of weaknesses showing from my kind of figuring out still what I was doing with a lot of the story and a lot of the characters and things. I think I kind of figured out everybody kind of by the end of Season 1, and then Season 2 overall was a lot more solid. So I wouldn't even agree. I don't think I get that comment a lot, and I do appreciate the thought behind it, but I genuinely don't agree that I think that like, oh, it would be like better than like what's on TV right now. I think it's cool. I really love the show.
Well, I meant no disrespect on that.
Sure, but you know what? I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's any more or less perfect or better, certainly, than anything on TV right now. But I'm just honestly very happy that I got to make it. I'm very proud that I finished it because there's very few things like it on the internet to begin with that I did.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just found out recently. I was very, very honored to find this out. That the creator of a new show that's coming out on Cartoon Network, actually, Craig of the Creek, I found out that the creator of it, who I met a long time ago, I think in New York somewhere, maybe at SVA, has actually seen the show and liked it. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing, which was really cool to hear that. So, you know, small world, right? But anyway, what was your actual question? Because I totally interrupted you to yell about how Teen Titans is not a bad show.
No, I only did that because I've seen pictures of like the schedule where it's just like, and like it's spent like 2 or 3 days of nothing but Teen Titans Go, and that of course has me like just a little bit confused. But that's something completely different.
What's to be confused about? It's their #1 show because everybody watches it. It's funny, and also it was smart because actually they were premiering a new like special 4-part episode with some really cool animation and character designs in it. Alongside the premiere of OKKO this week, or this past week now, since I'm assuming this will be out a little bit later.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, makes sense to me. But carry on, please, continue.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I understand your perspective. I apologize. So, what I wanted to ask...
I will find it in my black heart to forgive you as someone who does not work on Teen Titans Go.
What I meant to actually ask is, what has been the most fun part of working on TOME?
Oh man, God, what isn't? There's really not so much an unfun part, to be honest. You know, I tried to design the show in a way that would be fun to work on, you know, in all parts of the process, really. You know, I just, actually, it's funny because early on, I remember I was originally intending for it to be a show that I could produce an episode of every month. Which, you know, how foolish was I back then to think that I could do that. It was really more an episode once every, like, 3 months was really what it ended up being eventually. But nonetheless, yeah, I mean, the animating was fun, the writing process was fun, the voice recording was fun. You know, there were some parts that were a little more difficult, like the video editing stuff, which I eventually got help with, which I was very happy about because I don't know what the hell I'm doing with that stuff. I can't even use Windows Movie Maker, for Christ's sake. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, no, it was all fun. I loved, and you know, the rare times we got to screen episodes at conventions was amazing. Getting to meet fans of it at cons once in a while, which is a rare, you know, occurrence for me. You know, but yeah, it was a great experience. You know, I definitely miss it. I missed for a long time after we finished it, getting to have a big, cool project like that to you know, to experience. And which is hopefully what the game is going to sort of fill the void of. But yeah, it was all great.
Yeah, you mentioned you're making, or attempting at least, to make a TOME game.
Yes, indeed. We've been working on the prototype for it, because a lot of people have been, you know, demanding forever to make a game based off of it. And finally, we have the means to do that thanks to some really incredibly talented people that I'm working with, new friends, who are game designers and programmers that I've gotten to know over the last several years, who are all awesome people.
You gotta have those good connections.
Yeah, no, and they've become real friends. You know, Michael Prinky, Scott Gowan, and Nathan Lindley are kind of my core team of programmers and designers who are all amazing folks, really nice guys, really work their asses off. And we've been working our ass off the last, now, believe it or not, I think 6 or 7 months already on this prototype. And it's nearly finished, and we'll be launching it as a free download along with the Kickstarter, which also will hopefully be launching maybe even this month if all goes well. I don't know yet. We'll see.
But wish you luck on it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, but it's exciting, and I'm really interested to see what people's responses are going to be to how the characters that they know from the series look, how their personalities have changed a little bit. I think that these are the most fleshed out and interesting versions of the characters that I've ever crafted. I'm just very, very, very curious to see how people are going to react, and I hope that they like them because I am very happy with what I've been able to do so far. I got to say.
Yeah, about TOME, can I actually ask you a small bonus question?
Please, of course.
When it comes to like designing characters and crafting like this huge new world and stories, like what helps you with that? What like do you go to for like inspirations?
Well, for those of you who don't know out there listening, and actually I highly recommend anybody who hasn't seen them, we have commentaries and fact bubble specials for every episode of Tome that have a lot of behind-the-scenes process of these different things about the characters. But on kind of a general funny note, for if you don't know Zach, almost all of the characters in Tome originally were inspired by real people on a message board that I was friends with. They were some of my first internet friends and just people in general that I ever interacted with. And it came down to Mike Lucas, who I kind of considered for a long time like kind of the co-creator of Tome in a way, and certainly the co-character designer. And he's actually doing a lot of great new character designs for the game, by the way. He's amazing. Go check him out at Mike Lucas if you haven't seen his work. Mike moved away when we were in middle school, and we kept in touch with each other on the TV Tome forum. TV Tome is a now defunct website, was transformed into TV.com. But yeah, we met all of our first internet friends on there, and they all had these weird screen names, and we had our own screen names, and we thought, well, this was a message board with no avatars or signatures or any images of any kind, really. So I thought, why don't we make up characters based on the screen names? So it was like, what would Flame Girl look like? What would Nylock look like? What would Game Craze look like? And then we would kind of take that and run and make characters, just kind of off of really just the name, which is funny because also a lot of the character names have kind of changed since then.
Yeah, and the friggin' rest is history at this point.
Yeah, and also we were big into Dot Hack and Mega Man Battle Network and Reboot, a lot of those cyberpunk sort of virtual world.
The early 2000s was a very cybery kind of age.
Yeah, and so we thought, well, we're on the internet. The internet is a whole world that's been opened up to us. Why don't we make something like that? So we just kind of put them in that sort of setting and then went from there. And and now everybody thinks that I ripped off Sword Art, and I've never seen an episode of that show to this day. Sorry, Alex Von David, I apologize if you'll never hear this, but funny story, the voice director of Sword Art Online's English dub is also a fan of Tome, and I feel bad that I've never seen that show in my life. But the day I ever get on it, if I ever do, I get to voice somebody on it, I'm gonna die of fucking laughter. So
be interesting. You show up on an episode of Sword Art Online despite never even watching a single episode of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll watch the episodes that I'm in.
I mean, that would make sense. So.
Sure.
But that actually, great segue, actually. So what was the transition like from working on, Newgrounds up until, I guess I want to say, in a weird way, this kind of makes sense, I guess, to the big time and voicing for animes and video games. What was that transition like?
Well, I owe it to a few key people, actually. The first of which were a couple of gentlemen in New York. Jamie McGonigal, who is, for those of you who watch Pokemon, he was the voice of Barry on Diamond and Pearl. So I went to New York Anime Fest, which no longer exists, and on a whim, I decided to enter into this contest that was being held by Tom Wayland, who at the time was also the voice director for the Pokemon anime series, and Michael Cinder Nicholas, who is also a fantastic voice director and actor. But Tom is too. And they were both doing this contest where you went up and did a monologue and you improv and you dubbed to a scene. And I won that contest, and then I got to audition for Pokemon after that. And I owe that because I found out I was kind of implied later that Jamie put my name forward to have me go up and do my monologue, and then because of that, I proved myself and I got it.
Nice.
So I started auditioning for Pokemon, and then I booked my first part, which was Corey in the Diamond and Pearl season, and that was a great experience. I did 5 episodes of that. Then after that, Lucian Dodge, who I believe I auditioned against for the part of Corey, he recommended me to NYAV Post, which was Michael Cinder Nicholas's studio. So then from there, I started doing work for him on shows like Bakuman, and Queen's Blade, and God, what else? The Berserk movies, of course. Now I've gotten to do some other great things with them, like of course Gundam Origin. I worked recently on a beautiful movie called Napping Princess, which I'll probably talk about that a little bit later. Yeah, and so I started working with NYV Post, and then when I moved out to LA, the two biggest pieces of help, the two biggest people who helped me, I don't know, that's really objectified them, and they're two wonderful friends of mine who I adore. Mona Marshall, who people know as the voice of Izzy on Digimon and Kyle's mom in South Park, and Ben Diskin, he's on Codename Kids Next Door and in every thing ever. They've both recommended me to so many places, and have helped me out so incredibly much in kind of helping to foster my career out here. And it's thanks to them that I've really gotten the chance to even audition for a lot of the parts that I've gotten. So I have very much them to thank. That's really what it is. It's having connections with people who genuinely believe in you, that can help get your name out there because they know that you're ready. That it's really because of them, and then my being ready and studying and being prepared enough to step up to the plate when I had to show my stuff.
Yeah, that's actually very good. I think it's interesting when people take a chance on you, because it's because of those chances that you're able to get to where you are now. That's very important, I think. Let's see. I'm actually going to combine these two questions just because they kind of seem natural like this. Do you have any ways to deal with stress while on the voice acting job, or just your job in general? What do you do like on your downtime?
Well, thankfully, it's kind of interesting. I'm in a unique position where voiceover is what's paying my bills primarily, but I also consider myself a voice actor secondarily to what I mainly do. For me, creating is first and foremost, whether it's animation or game development or freelance, whatever, or even just doing the little bit of YouTube content that I do. That's the primary thing for me is being a creator, and voiceover is a secondary thing for me. So therefore, even though it is very important to me and I take it very, very seriously, it is not as precious to me as creating, even remotely. But so what I'm thankful for is that I'm not having to wait by the phone, or that's kind of an old thing. I'm not having to wait for an email back saying, "Congratulations, you booked this job. You can eat this month." What I do in my time, not my spare time, but my time, is I am animating. I'm working on whatever, or writing, or producing, or whatever, anything else I could be doing at that time. I'm always trying to do something. So whenever I get auditions, which I get, auditions a few times a week, and and I'll usually get a job of some kind, once a month or whatever, and or sometimes if I'm very lucky, I'll be getting multiple jobs in a month. Or if I'm unlucky, I won't get a job in a month at all. Who knows? It depends, honestly. Thankfully, right now, I've been very, very fortunate to have a fair amount of consistent work on a lot of different projects that I've been doing, which is great. And some of which are, continuing forward, and some of which I've wrapped up by now, etc. Some of which I haven't even begun on just yet, actually. But
procrastination for the win.
Yeah. Well, in terms of you got to, sometimes you book a job and then you got to be waiting a while before you actually begin recording on it. So, but I'm able to, talking about balance earlier, I'm able to balance myself out in a way that I'm never I'm not stressed. In terms of dealing with stress, though, to kind of tackle that particular section of it, I used to get really stressed out about auditions, and I had to get to a point, and I try to imbue this advice on other people I know, even people especially who are out here that are friends of mine who are kind of beginning the next step in their careers out here. I'm trying to impress this onto them as well. It's something I learned from Richard Horvitz when I took his class, which I highly recommend to anybody who wants to be a better actor. Richard had this great class about one of the steps in his kind of curriculum is basically, making every audition into an opportunity to play pretend, and not like a precious, oh my God, I have to get this job. This is my big break. I need to get this. Because you fall into that and it sucks.
Yeah, it's a lot of stress to deal with. There's all these expectations and hype you set yourself up for.
Yeah, like, you got to zen it out. I auditioned for One Punch Man. I auditioned for all the major characters in One Punch Man. And by that time, thankfully, I got, even though, like, for instance, when I read for Moomin Rider, who I hadn't seen the show. I had not seen the show because I'm too afraid to watch subbed anime anymore because I know I'll get attached, and I can't do that to myself anymore. But literally, the clip I saw of Moomin Rider that was provided for reference, I was like, oh God, I like this character a lot. Crap, I kind of really want him. But I'm like, nope, don't do it. Don't fall into the trap. So I just read for all the characters. I did my shit. I handed them in. I didn't get anything on One Punch Man. And that's okay. It wasn't the end of the world. And I had to just kind of get up to a point in zenning myself out and not making everything so precious that I could just sit back and enjoy the in-the-moment fun of just getting to audition for something,
Yeah.
And then sometimes it works out. Then I booked Mob Psycho, which was great. So, and it's a better show than One Punch Man anyway. So there. Anyway.
Well, you're first then. All right.
Yeah.
You actually brought up Napping Princess before. You said you wanted to talk about that as well?
Yes, it's a beautiful movie that I was very fortunate to record one of the main characters on, this guy named Morio, who is basically me as an anime character. Probably more so than any other character that I've ever related to. He's very much me. Yeah, it's a great movie. I don't want to spoil too much about the story, but it's basically about it's primarily about this girl who my character is friends with, and she. Oh man, how do I even? I want people to watch it, and it's kind of like with Your Name, where it's like I feel like the more I say, the more I spoil about it, even the most basic stuff. But it's there's a dream world, and the characters have alternate versions of themselves in the dream world, and the dream world and the real world kind of get sort of crossed together. But there's a lot more to it than that, and the girl is the key to it. And it's really cool, and please just trust me and watch it. It's beautiful animation, has a great cast of actors in it. So just trust me on that. It's going to be in theaters in Europe. I'm really hoping it might get in theaters in the US because that would be fucking rad. But I don't know yet. So either way, yes, that's what I'll say about Napping Princess. And it was wonderful. I got to work with Stephanie Shea and Michael Nicholas, who are both some of my favorite directors to work with. They're both incredible. I starred opposite Brina Palencia, who is also a tremendous performer, and I am a huge fan of her work, actually. I met her, as she reminded on Twitter, I met her when I was a kid going to fucking anime conventions, and like, she was like, oh my God, like, you sound great. I met you when you were a kid, and you were, like, cool, and, like, now you're actually in this, and, like, we're in something together, like, as the main characters, and I was like, what even is this? So that was cool. So yes, that's what I'll say about Napping Princess. Go check it out. Go do it.
You've mentioned like quite a lot of names that you've gotten the chance to work with, and it's very impressive. Like how many people you've gotten the chance to like work alongside or even get to talk with. But I gotta ask, is there anyone that's high up there on your wish list? If there's one person you wish you could talk to.
Oh man, I've gotten to meet so many people already. Oh man, I don't know. I mean. OKKO has been such an incredible honor because I've gotten to meet so many people that I've grown up hearing in every cartoon I watched. Even in the main cast, like how like Ashley Birch, who does so many great like video games and anime as well, and she's getting a lot more into cartoons. She's so good on Enid.
Can I ask what cartoons that you mentioned, like cartoons growing up? Can you like quickly list them off?
Oh God, that I grew up with. Oh man, I mean all the Spielberg, Warner Brothers collab cartoons, like Animaniacs and all that stuff. Futurama, which David Herman is Mr. Gar, and he's often sitting next to me and recording. He's a great guy on OKKO. Jim Cummings is in the show, and I mean what cartoon that we grew up with was Jim Cummings not in, for Christ's sake?
He's a legend.
I literally watching him perform is like viewing an open portal to the fucking 90s. He's such a nice guy too, and yeah, I mean like there's so many. I still love Pokemon and Dragon Ball. I still, am enjoying the new stuff with both of those series to this day. I'm really excited about all the new things happening with Dragon Ball Super and the Pokemon anime and all that stuff. Still, my love for a lot of these shows is also still carried over into my adulthood,
Well,
That's the funny thing. My friend Steve pointed out, Steve Yurko of the One Piece podcast, he pointed out about how when people say like, "Oh man, this is my childhood," and then Steve and I look at each other and we're just like, "This is our adulthood." It's not our childhood; it's still our adulthood because we still love this shit. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
All right. I think to wrap everything up real nicely, this is a question that I ask a lot of people, whether they're in the voice acting biz or not. There are those who say that voice acting is not a real job. What are your thoughts on that perspective?
Who cares? It's funny. I find more of the opposite, where I think like voiceover is a job in demand more than ever because so many people want to do it. It's kind of become. I think that there's like definitely those layman type people who are just like, oh yeah, well, and you know what? Also, there's people that think that any job in the entertainment business isn't a real job. You know what I mean? Like, there used to be that stereotypical thing of like, oh, you work for Disney, But like, if you're just like a person who draws or acts or whatever, it's laced with that like, oh, when are you gonna get a real job? Because there seems to be this kind of like stigma of like something creative is associated with like laziness and like not hard work, but it is hard work.
It is.
It is. Damn it. But also on the opposite end, I think that there are a lot of people who are now more than ever interested in working in the entertainment business, and that includes people who are just like, I want to be a voice actor. I've just decided, And I think if anything, what I would say to kind of throw that back in their face is, on that kind of hard-working thing is if you want to do that, you got to work hard. A lot of people think that it's not a real job. Some people think it's a really easy job, and it's not. It's not the most difficult job in existence, but to be really good at it and to work consistently and to make a living out of it, it is hard. It's very hard. So like, and you have to be very dedicated to that craft to be good at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, did I answer that question at all? I hope.
Well, you gave your thoughts on it, so I think that counts.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Hey, before we wrap up, I have something for you.
Oh.
So whenever I do these, I always try to like end these with like, do you have any like very nerdy specific? Well, that sounds derogatory, but any very specific questions? Like really, really like things that like maybe you wouldn't think to ask normally, like because it's like not very formal, like stuff about like in this one episode of Tome or whatever, or like what was the thing behind this joke in whatever in like Parody Rangers or something. Do you have any questions like that are burning in your minds that you're curious about?
Oh boy. Well.
Just off the cuff, you don't have to think about it too hard either.
Off the cuff? Okay, what was with the sex scene in, like, the trilogy? The Super Freaking Parodies trilogy?
I just thought it was funny. I just thought it was funny to make all of my main actors have to do sex noises for a solid. I thought it was hilarious. So there.
Okay, because I've always wondered that. I'm like, nah, it was just like a joke, probably. He wasn't serious. Okay, apparently it was a little bit serious.
It was a joke. It was a joke, but it was hilarious to me. That's why I did it. Yeah.
Okay. No, actually, wait. Now that does give me one question I did want to ask. Would you ever remake Super Freaking Parody Rangers, but this time spoof the movie that came out this year with it?
I had a lot of people ask me that. I wouldn't, but what I had been considering, and who knows, maybe someday I might do this. I have no idea. But I would love to do maybe something with like new, updated, not as lame versions of some of those characters. With pretty much with the exception of like Meat, who is a perfect character, and you can't stop because just Crizito screaming like a lunatic is the funniest goddamn thing in the world. But I would love to do like a show or something, or like a little short movie or something with those characters that would be just by itself, like just one thing by itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of just bringing it back for old time's sake, one time only kind of thing.
But have it be something that would be actually original and not like marketed as a Power Rangers spoof. Like it could be like, oh, they form like a Sentai team or whatever, but like it's not actually like we're Power Rangers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would love to do something like that someday, but priorities of other things happening at the moment. So who knows? But.
Yeah. All right, I think we can nicely wrap this up. So before we head off, is there anything you quickly want to plug? Any shameless self-promotion? I always allow that at the end of these interviews.
Sure. I'm going to be... do you know when this is coming out?
By the time this comes out, it'll be beginning of September. So.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, let's see. By September, hopefully the TOME Kickstarter is going on right now. Maybe. I hope to God. Please, future me. Yeah, I would say if you're interested in that, if it's not out by now, or hopefully if it is, check it out. Check out the info about it on my YouTube. If you've ever wanted to be in a video game, boy howdy, for the low price of just $30, you can. Or more if you want to be more predominantly featured as like a fully animated enemy or something. So look into that. Otherwise, yeah, just check out my YouTube channel in general. It's youtube.com/Kirbopher15. You can follow me on Twitter @Kirbopher. And other stuff that I'm working on.
And you, of course, have your website.
Yeah, well, yeah, my website, which is just a glorified billboard that is in my basement that nobody sees. But yeah, there's my website. God, look forward to Sailor Moon Supers, which I'm going to be in as Pegasus. Mobile Suit Gundam, The Origin, Part 5, which will be coming out later this year, where I reprise my part as Garma. What else? God, yeah, Napping Princess, whenever that comes out. Look forward to that. And other cool things happening that I can't say yet, but other things, it'll be cool. Yay. Anyway.
All right. So, go ahead, if you're watching this, go ahead and put down in the comments what your thoughts are on Mr. Kirbopher over here. I know he's done a lot of stuff in the past, that's cool, but let's also acknowledge that he has gone on to do some very amazing stuff post Newgrounds. He's going to be in all these great anime shows. He's going to be in a movie. He's got his TOME series, which is going to be great. I know, when that Kickstarter goes, it's gonna skyrocket. I
hope so. I really do hope. And if the Kickstarter is up by the time that this goes up, toss a link in the description to it if you can.
I definitely will.
Yay! Excellent. Thank you for having me, Zach. I appreciate it.
Yes. With that being said, I'm the Toon Critic, keeping you totally tuned for your entertainment. Thank you for watching, and stay awesome.
Bye.